In South Korea, retail investors have given Cathie a new nickname, Money Tree. There's an old saying that goes, no risk, no reward. However, sometimes, your dreams may be deemed too risky by some people. Armed with her wits and faith, this woman powered through the doubters and naysayers and proved them wrong by founding and running a billion-dollar company that continually seeks to break boundaries and innovate the financial services field. To date, she has a net worth of over $250 million, and the company she founded currently manages the largest actively managed exchange-traded fund. As a child of immigrants, Cathie Wood was taught to dream big. She worked her way up the corporate ladder in the financial services industry, and she has cemented her position as one of the leading innovators in the field. With her idea of using disruptive innovation, Cathie has indeed disrupted the industry and elevated the way ETFs are managed and facilitated. She is a true self-made woman, and her company, as you will see later on, also seeks to break boundaries and be a part of initiatives that may just later on change the world. Welcome back to Business Explained.
Let's get down to business.
Rightfully so, Cathie has been able to rake in billions of dollars with her company, Ark Invest. However, it was not always the case. Her childhood was far from glamorous, and in spite of being one of the richest and most influential women in the world today, she still looks back on it to remind her of where she came from. Cathie Wood was born in Los Angeles, and she was the oldest child of immigrant parents from Ireland. Wood's father served in the Irish Army and the United States Air Force, and became a successful radar system engineer. Cathie's father was known to be very detail-oriented, and he was the one who pushed Catherine to discover the connections between things. This would serve a major purpose in Cathie's future career path, as you will see later on. In 1974, Wood graduated from Notre Dame Academy in Los Angeles, an all-girls Catholic high school, and she went on to attend the University of Southern California. Cathie's Christian faith plays a very big role in her life, and she would openly talk about how much her faith influences her and her life decisions. In 1981, Wood graduated with the highest distinction from the university with a Bachelor of Science degree in Finance and Economics. One of Cathie's greatest inspirations, perhaps next only to her father, was her professor at the university, the world-renowned economist Arthur Laffer. He later on became Wood's mentor. In fact, it was Laffer who helped Cathie secure her very first job. In 1977, Wood got a job as an assistant economist at Capital Group, where she worked for 3 years. After her stint at Capital Group, she moved to New York City to take a job at Jennison Associates as chief economist, analyst, portfolio manager and managing director. She stayed at Jennison Associates for 18 years, sharpening her knowledge and business acumen. It was during her stay at Jennison that she began to think of ways to improve the system and develop her own ideas. Cathie said, "While I was at Jennison, I started thinking about the markets in a way that began to differ from the way markets are analyzed today. I couldn't cover something that someone else obviously was covering at the firm, so I had to wait for new ideas to come along, ideas that sort of fell through the cracks that nobody wanted. I often say I was like a little dog under the table scrapping for bones." Armed with her nearly 2 decades worth of experience, Cathie then decided to strike out on her own and found her own company. Along with her colleague, Lulu C. Wang, Wood co-founded Tupelo Capital Management, a hedge fund based in New York City. During her time at Tupelo, Cathie managed an estimate of $800 million of capital. However, this was not what became her billion-dollar business venture. She would face a major setback before getting there, and it was during her time at AllianceBernstein where she would realize the power of believing in herself. In 2001, Cathie Wood joined AllianceBernstein as Chief Investment Officer of Global Thematic Strategies. Her experience in Jennison Associates and Tupelo Capital Management made her the perfect candidate, and she worked at the company for 12 years, managing over $5 billion in assets. However, her time at AllianceBernstein was not all smooth sailing. Along with many other financial institutions, the company was struck hard by the financial crisis of 2007 to 2008. And Cathie, being the Chief Investment Officer, was widely criticized for her poor performance. Apparently, she had performed worse than the overall market during the financial crisis. According to Cathie, during that time, she was faced with all sorts of conflicting signals. "I began to feel that something was very wrong. So we pulled a lot of the risk out of our portfolios. And we did very poorly that year. I thought being up 5% in a year when the market was up 12 or 13% was that I had done a horrible job, and I began to feel terrible about myself." She tried to recoup their losses over the years following the financial crisis, and she even began proposing new ideas to develop the way that AllianceBernstein did its business. Her grand idea: actively managing exchange-traded funds based on disruptive innovation. In business theory, a disruptive innovation is an innovation that creates a new market and value network and eventually disrupts an existing market and value network, displacing established market-leading firms, products, and alliances. If done correctly, Cathie's grand idea would have certainly elevated AllianceBernstein and solidified their position as a leading global management firm. The thing about disruptive innovation is that disruptive innovations tend to be produced by outsiders and entrepreneurs in startups, rather than existing market-leading companies. The business environment of market leaders does not allow them to pursue disruptive innovations when they first arise, mainly due to them not being profitable enough at first and because their development can take scarce resources away from sustaining innovations. Perhaps it was due to Cathie's poor performance during the years of the financial crisis, or because management at the time simply thought her ideas would not bear any fruit, but AllianceBernstein deemed Cathie's idea for actively managed exchange-traded funds based on disruptive innovation as too risky. This inspired Cathie to strike out on her own once more and start her own company. However, Cathie was faced with a lot of pushback from her own circle. Following a 12-year career at AllianceBernstein, Cathie was going to start from scratch. She was 57 years old at the time, so those who were close to her were naturally not too thrilled with her decision. According to Cathie in her interview with CityWire USA, many of my friends thought I was going to fail, and they told me that because they wanted to protect me. Although the idea of starting over at a relatively late stage in her life was a little daunting, Cathie never entertained the idea of failure. Cathie said, "I never thought I was going to fail. There was a huge unmet need, and that's the best way to start a business." With that, she started Ark Invest. As mentioned before, Cathie is very heavily influenced by her faith. In an interview with Jesus Calling, Cathie said, "I believe my career is starting all over again, though. I decided to name my company after the Ark of the Covenant, because as I was going through that very difficult period starting in 2006, where the market was crashing, nothing made sense to me, so I started reading the one-year Bible. After I would read the passage for the day, I would then just open it up randomly and say, 'God, speak to me. Just show me what to do. Show me your will. Show me your way.'" Apparently, almost every time she did that, she would run into the Ark of the Covenant being taken into the Israelites, taking the Ark of the Covenant into battle before them, because they believed that the presence of God was in the Ark of the Covenant. That was what inspired her to call her company Ark. However, her troubles did not end there. According to Wood, she had to fund the company for the first 3 years all by herself. Their assets did not grow that much, and they were losing huge amounts of money each week. However, she would always say, "Okay, God, you're in control. Even if this company fails, I know I've done the right thing. This is a walk of faith for me. Your will be done." And it was great that she kept the faith. Today, her firm runs and manages billions of dollars in assets and has become a disruptor itself, thanks to its vehicles, holdings and leadership. Ark Invest is currently backed by its 2 distribution partners, Resolute Investment Managers in the US and Nikko Asset Management in the Asia-Pacific region. The company has also helped to redefine how active management can thrive in a market increasingly dominated by passive and index investing. Currently, Cathie's firm offers a range of active ETFs, SMAs, mutual funds and a UCITS products, all of which invest in disruptive companies and technologies that the team believes will eventually transform how our world works. As of February 2021, the company had $50 billion in assets under management. Wood's ETFs are dominating 2021, and the company recently launched an exchange-traded fund that invests in companies engaged in space exploration. When asked about how she was able to handle all the challenges that were hurled at her, Cathie said, "You gotta roll with the punches. I just haven't felt very many punches, or I don't choose to remember them, because I'm very focused on the future and getting to where I want. I've loved being a woman in the business." After working her way from the bottom up, Cathie Wood is truly someone we can call self-made, and her story is an inspiration to all to never give up and to never be too afraid to take risks. From flipping burgers at McDonald's to becoming a cryptocurrency billionaire, this man is a true success story. His name is Chanpeng Zhao, and news reports have dubbed him a cross between Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs for wearing a trademark black hoodie during most of his public appearances. In spite of his massive wealth, the founder of Binance lives a pretty simple life. Perhaps his only indulgence in life is his 3 mobile phones, as he is not known for buying flashy cars, fancy yachts, or expensive watches, as other billionaires are known to do. However, as of April 2nd of this year, Zhao is estimated to have a net worth of roughly $1.9 billion, and judging by the growth of Binance and cryptocurrencies in general across the world, it is safe to say that his wealth will only continue to grow from here. After all, he also owns the biggest stake in Binance coins. What led Zhao to build Binance? And what were the obstacles and opportunities he encountered on his journey? You can check it out in the video up on your screen now, so click away, sit back, and relax and see you in the next video.